So what's good, Straw Gang, and welcome back to another video, and I'm finally dropping a top 5 best class setups and loadouts for Warzone Season 2. I've wanted to do this for a while, but at the same time, I do want to get some time used with these weapons so I can actually get a feel for it and rank these guns based on their flexibility within Warzone. So for example, I'll just go over it real quick so you understand why I'm putting these guns in the certain rankings. With the Amax, for example, I'm not going to be ranking it as high as the FFAR because the Amax is only good at medium-ish and long-range engagements, whereas the FFAR is much better for close and medium because, you know, you're not going to be like pushing a building engagement with an Amax if you have the choice, and you can rush at people more with a FFAR. You know, you can fly at them no matter what. Like, you chuck the UAV up, get the trophy on your vehicle, and just fly at people in buildings. And it's also good at medium range as well. So you can use the FFAR in more situations than you can use the Amax because, like I said, if you want to be flying at people with the UAV up, you're going to be choosing that FFAR over the Amax. And same with the Mac 10. You know, you're going to choose a Mac 10 for close range engagements more than an Amax. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this. It's not just off of their base TTK or their whatever like that. It is how many situations you can use them in and how flexible they are. I also have video chapters down below on the actual video timeline, so you can scroll through and see what guns I've put in the video and skip to the one you want a class setup for, because obviously I know you're not going to want to watch the whole video just to find one class setup that you're looking for. So definitely go on the video timeline and scroll through and see what gun that you want to get a class setup for. So if you guys are brand new to the channel and you want to see more Warzone content from me, more top classes and loadouts, as well as solo gameplay, solo wins, all of that type of stuff, man, we cover everything gameplay based here on the channel for Warzone. Hit that red sub button down below with post notifications on. That is important so you do not miss any future uploads that you want to tune into. And with that being said, let's hop right into it. So kicking off this list, we're going to be starting off at the number 5 spot. Now, this is a gun that I know a lot of you won't expect to see. I just recently did a video on it, you know, surrounding the whole weapon itself, dropping 20 kills with this gun, and that is going to be the Groza. Now, I haven't had enough time to use this to really have it be a higher ranking on this list, but it most definitely breaks through at the number 5 spot because I went through all the weapons that people commonly use, the SMGs, the assault rifles, and I just really couldn't think of a weapon that deserved the number 5 spot more. And I really do want to shine light on a gun that hasn't been talked about much nor has been used much. So the Groza works very much like the FFAR. It is a medium to close range weapon. You do not want to be taking long range gunfights with this, even though it has very low recoil and it has a bit of range to it as well. I would only use it at range if you absolutely have to. It shouldn't be your go-to for long range weapons. It should just be, like I said, used as the FFAR as a secondary / SMG type of class setup for those close to medium range engagements, and specifically in building engagements as well. It's very important that you don't try and use it as a main assault rifle. And going back to the recoil talk as well, I can definitely see this becoming a meta weapon because it is very easy to use. That's what meta weapons are at the end of the day. They're guns that have low recoil, that kill fast, that are easy to use no matter what type of player you are. So that's why I'm not going to be including any snipers in this list either, because they're not for everyone. Meta weapons at the end of the day, like I said, are weapons that everyone across the board can use, and the Groza definitely fits that category. Like I said, it has very low recoil, it's easy to use, it kills fast, and it's good to use as a secondary / SMG setup and SMG build. Now, as for the class setup for this weapon, it is built the exact same as the FFAR. Like I said, it's used like that weapon. We've got the Groza suppressor, which is the same as agency. It'll give you that sound suppression, vertical recoil control, bullet velocity, as well as effective damage range. Very helpful. On top of that, we've got the composite barrel, which will give you even more bullet velocity. We've got the Spetsnaz grip, which will give you shooting move speed and horizontal recoil control. So you get both horizontal and vertical recoil control within this class setup. The 45 round fast mag, as well as the KGB pad. I've also gone ahead and paired this with the Amax, as that is my favorite assault rifle to use right now. Even though the Groza is an assault rifle as well, I am classing it as an SMG, you know, using it as a secondary. So I've paired it with the Amax, and I'm sure you guys know the class setup for that by now. I do actually move on to the Amax later on in this video, and that is pretty much going to wrap it up for the Groza. So coming in at the number 4 spot, a weapon that I said I was going to move on to, and that is going to be the CR56 Amax. Now, even though this is currently my favorite assault rifle within Warzone, the other weapons on this list undoubtedly had to just go where they are. So the Amax is at the number 4 spot, but it is definitely like a top tier weapon and my favorite assault rifle. Now, to kick this off, first of all, there are a decent amount of people who I know don't use this weapon because of the recoil control and, you know, not being able to be accurate accurate with it. I've had people in my comments, people on my stream chat when I do go live, you know, saying that the reason they don't use the Amax is because of the recoil and not being able to control it properly, not being able to be accurate with it. And I just want to put it down right now that I really do recommend you stick with the Amax for a couple days or however long it takes for you to get used to it, because it is worth it. Don't just stick with your comfortable weapons like the Grau or the M4 or whatever it may be. This gun is worth giving a try. I was the same. This gun was hard to control for me as well, and I was put off by using it, but I really did like how it felt when I was able to pull off kills with it, and so I just stuck to it, and now, like I said, it's one of my favorite assault rifles in this game. Now, as for the class setup, it's going to be a pretty basic one for assault rifles in this game. It's going to be the monolithic suppressor giving you sound suppression and damage range, the XRK is Zodiac barrel, which will give you damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. You guys are familiar with that. Commando foregrip, the 45 round mags, and the VLK optic with the T-pose reticle. Another thing that I need to say is that the T-pose reticle is game changing. The default reticle for VLK is not bad, but the T-pose is just on another level, man. Unlock it, use it, it's amazing. Going back to the recoil for just a bit, if you have the full game of Modern Warfare or you just want to jump into Plunder, go up to a spot where it's easy to see the bullet traces and then just learn the recoil pattern. Aim down sights, look at it, shoot the whole mag without controlling the recoil at all, and then kind of learn how the pattern goes and, you know, do what you need to counter that and bring the recoil down. That's a good way to learn, and I know a lot of people use that strategy, so maybe if you kind of hadn't thought of that, it'll help you out. Next up on this list is going to be a weapon that you are all very much familiar with. It's a weapon that has been talked about so much, that's been wanted, you know, to be nerfed for a long time and a lot, and it's going to be the MAC-10. So coming in at the number 3 spot is going to be the MAC-10 SMG. This thing, I think, is just always going to be a top tier weapon. It's like the, you know, it's like the MP5, right? The MP5 has stayed as a top SMG pretty much ever since it came out in Warzone. It's what people have always used, and the MAC-10 is like the first SMG within Warzone to actually switch the meta up. You know, we've had weapons in the past like the ISO and the Striker 45, and what else is there? The Vector, I can't remember, the Fennec, and those weapons were like kind of hyped for like the first couple days, as most DLC weapons are, and then everyone forgot about them, right? Like the MAC-10 is the first SMG, the first real SMG we've had in Warzone that's shifted things up, you know, rustled the feathers a little bit. Now I really do like the MAC-10 being in Warzone. It throws me back to Black Ops 1, which has a MAC-11. It's a pretty similar weapon to this, and it just kind of, you know, brings that nostalgia back every time I use it. Getting onto the class setup, I'm going to be rocking the agency suppressor, yet again with the huge buff that it got, the Ranger barrel for that bullet velocity. Now I'm going to be using the SFOD speed grip. This will give you sprinting move speed as well as horizontal recoil control, the 43 round fast mag if you're playing solos, but if you're playing modes like duos, trios, or quads, the 53 round fast mag is definitely good to go with, as well as the Raider stock. Now every time that I have any secondary, whether that's the Groza, the MAC-10, the FFAR, whatever, I'm always going to be using the Amax as my primary weapon for the class setup. So moving on with the video, you know, moving through it, anytime I do have a secondary weapon, the Amax will be my main. Just thought I'd mention that so you know, because I'll probably forget to mention it. And that's pretty much the MAC-10. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have one of my absolute main assault rifles within this game, or you could call it an SMG assault rifle hybrid, maybe the Peacekeeper of Warzone. And that is going to be the FFAR 1 or the FFAR 1, however you want to pronounce it. I've heard a handful of different pronunciations with this gun, so call it whatever you want, but we all know what it is. It's the FAMAS. This is most definitely a top meta weapon right now. You'll see it in a lot of different combinations, that being the Kar 98 and the FAMAS, maybe like me, the Amax and the FAMAS, the AUG and the FAMAS. There's a lot of good combinations you can rock with this gun because it's just so reliable as a secondary. It's got really high fire rate, the recoil is very easy to control, and if you ever needed to, like, there is a little bit of long range capability on this gun, but just like the Groza, this shouldn't be like a go-to weapon as a main assault rifle. It should always be a secondary to pull out as an SMG and use in those close range engagements, because even though it's an assault rifle, it pretty much does an SMG's job but better. And just like the MAC-10, I am so excited to see this gun back in Call of Duty, man. This was a very popular gun back in Black Ops 1. It was originally called the FAMAS in that game, and it was one of my favorite assault rifles, if not my favorite, along with the Commando, and it's just really good to see it back in the game thriving. I'm loving using this weapon. Now as for the class setup on this, I've built it around a close range SMG as much as I possibly can. We're going to be rocking the agency suppressor yet again with its pretty major buff, the Ranger barrel for that bullet velocity, the SFOD speed grip for sprinting move speed and horizontal recoil control, the 50 round fast mag, and the Raider stock. When you're using an assault rifle, you want all of those mobility advantages and those mobility increases, so SFOD grip with Raider stock is a very good combo. And that wraps up the FFAR. So coming in At the number 1 spot, the top meta weapon on this list, the best weapon that you could possibly use for this purpose of long range and medium range engagements, is going to be the AUG, the tactical rifle, the burst weapon that is taking over Warzone right now, because at the start of the season, I basically got a bullet velocity buff to match the M16, and if you're not aware by now, the AUG has a higher fire rate or a faster fire rate than the M16, and it's got the same bullet velocity and all that type of stuff, so it's basically the same gun with faster fire rate, making it the M16 on crack, I guess you could say, right? Like it's on steroids, it's on whatever. Now the AUG by far is the easiest gun to use on this list. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, a meta weapon is something that everyone can use, no matter what type of player you are. The AUG has low recoil, it's very fast to kill, and you only need like decent aim to be able to use the burst weapon. I'm not even that good with burst rifles, I'm not a fan of them that much, and even I can absolutely shred with this thing. You don't need to be that great to use a burst rifle, and that is why, yet again, it is a top meta weapon. Now as for the class setup on this gun, you will see this for pretty much anyone else's classes, and that's because it's just the best that you can use, right? It's the meta class setup that is going to be the agency suppressor, the strike team barrel, which will increase your fire rate, field agent grip for that horizontal and vertical recoil control, pretty much giving this gun no recoil at all. The 54 round fast mag, whether you're in solos or not, I think is just the best mag to use. And now this is where it comes down to personal preference. I've got the axial arms 3 times, some people might use the vision tech, and there has recently been talk of the SUSAT multi-zoom, which is supposed to like get rid of your visual recoil. It's like really broken right now and it's kind of OP to use. I did try it out and personally I didn't like it. It just felt really sluggish and slow, especially for the ADS, and it just didn't fit. It didn't fit me, right? When I used it, I didn't feel that good with it. Axial arms is that really good medium that I feel comfortable with. It's the sweet spot, so that is my AUG setup. Now as for this gun, pretty much any secondary that I've mentioned in this video is really good to pair with it, whether that's the FFAR, the MAC 10, or the Groza. Those are 3 really good weapons to use. The most common would be the AUG and FFAR, or AUG and MAC 10, because like I mentioned, the Groza is not really getting that much attention right now, but I definitely could see myself using that as a secondary pairing with the AUG. Now that's all I have to say about the AUG, my class setup, and what I'd use as a secondary with this weapon. So now we've made it to the end of the video, man. That is my pick for the top 5 meta weapons, loadouts, and class setups for Warzone Season 2. If you guys enjoyed, do drop a like, hit that red sub button down below with post notifications on so you do not miss any future uploads coming to the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Have a great day, everybody, and I'm out.